Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening or this afternoon, depending where you're at. We're going to start in just a few seconds here. Just going to give a chance for anybody else who might be joining us today to jump in. Welcome to our panel discussion on online lead generation. Tonight, you're going to be hearing from a couple members of the Webheads community. And essentially, we're going to have a live discussion about some conversations related to generating leads using your online tools and systems and websites and things like that. It's primarily going to be just sort of like a fly on the wall kind of event, although at the end we will have a chance for Q&A. So if anybody has any questions that they think of during our conversation or have any questions particularly relating to what you might be needing support with regarding lead generation or your online presence, we'll do our best to address some of those as we go. I see we have Connie, Michelle, Nicole, thank you, welcome. Just going to give it another minute to see if anybody else joins us. And then we'll officially get started. My name is Joshua Lamothe, and I'm joined by the Webheads. We are a community of web professionals ranging all different types of digital services. And we've come together to do educational events, live panels like this, live webinars, Q&As, and other types of events so we can just connect with the community, educate, provide some valuable information and insights, and also be available if you might want to get some support or advice on a more personal level. We all offer one-on-one consultations if that's something you think you might want to do. A lot of people have a difficult time either doing something on your own or finding a reliable and trustworthy web partner. So that's who we are, and we're here to help. I won't waste any more time waiting for people to join us. If they come in, they'll sort of just jump into what we're doing. But let me start by giving each of our webheads an opportunity to say hello and share a little bit about yourselves and your expertise or specialty. And then we'll sort of just jump into our conversation. Let's start with Pia.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pia Civiletti of Centium Associates, and I work with entrepreneurs and small businesses in branding and website design, marketing, and consulting around anything really digital and online. So welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you, Pia. Jim?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Hale. I work with a Los Angeles-based company called GetGeofencing.com. Geofencing is a technology that helps businesses after they identify their ideal customer to, in a more of a laser fashion, connect to them. And so that's the technology I use, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome.
Thanks, Jim. And Robert?
Robert Coxe with Selfium Design. I do websites for environmental conservation organizations and businesses. And I also, my specialties are in accessibility of websites, blogging, and SEO.
Great, thank you. And we are just a portion of our community. Like I said before, we do events like this every week, and we have a rotating group of individuals that join us every time. So if you want to look for us up again after this, Webheads United, you'll be able to see some of our upcoming events, and we'll give you some links to that as well. But let's sort of jump into our discussion. And the way tonight's going to go is basically we're just going to have a roundtable discussion among four, including myself, web experts. And primarily what we're doing is we're going to address some of the more common questions that people tend to have when it comes to generating leads for their business. And hopefully in some of our dialogue, you'll get some insights or just some ideas or something that maybe you want to get some more clarification on. And we'll have a Q&A at the end where you'll have a chance to ask that question. You could also ask your question in the chat at some point, as long as it's related to what we're talking about. This is not a networking event or anything like that. So I'd ask you probably please refrain from commenting other than asking questions. And like I said before, if you have a notepad or something like that, it might be good to take some notes if something comes up. So let me just preface everything we're going to do by kind of talking about what are we talking about when we're talking about leads, right? Everybody in business obviously needs new business to thrive. If we don't have a constant source or at least a decent source of new potential clients, we're not going to really make it very far. So that's what we mean when we're talking about lead generation. We're talking about attracting and converting, ultimately, if we want to use those technical terms, new business, right? But at the end of the day, what are we really looking for? We're not really looking for leads. What we're really looking for are really good quality customers. That's what we're looking for. I don't care what business you're in. If you're in the customer service business in any way, you probably know there's a difference between ideal customers and those other customers, right? So we're not just trying to generate leads for lead's sake. We're not talking about tactics here that are going to get you maximum amounts of people to filter through and ultimately have to choose quality, over quantity. What we're really talking about here today is things you can do with your web presence, because we're talking about online or digital lead generation. So things you can do with your web presence. And when I say web presence, it could be your website, it could be social profiles, it could be a blog, it could be some kind of a system that's connected to a CRM or something. Whatever it is that you do with your digital presence, we're going to just sort of mention some ideas or some things to think about and focus on how you can convert or ultimately close good quality clients. Okay. So the first part is the connection, right? And that's what I want to start with, right? So what we're trying to do is make a connection. And there are ways that you can make a connection using what? Language, messaging, imagery, video. How do you communicate? So I'm going to kick it over. First and foremost, I'm going to start with Pia. And I want to hear from you, Pia, if you can. When it comes to communicating or attracting quality leads, what are some of the key things that you make sure that people need to integrate into their web presence to start that process?
Sure. Well, I think one of the first things to do is to know who you're going after. So, when you have a web presence, it is a digital expression of who you are and who your business is, right? And you want to capture a certain audience. So knowing who that audience is and what maybe their likes and dislikes are, interests, age groups, geography, anything that you can find out about them or any way that you can define them is really important, because you want to obviously offer information, package things, look and feel, and everything towards that demographic. If you're working with, say, seniors, say 60 to 80 or whatever, you might not put, some anime type characters on your website, because maybe someone in that age group is going to be like, what is this? Why is this have this kind of look? It's not going to, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with them. If you're focusing on the 20 to 30-year-old, anime probably might be really a good idea, right? So it's is it women? So maybe women tend to like maybe a little bit of a softer look. If it's men, you may want to go for a harder look, right? Something a little bit darker or that kind of thing, cool, that kind of stuff. So really, knowing your demographic is number one most important thing. And then you can always take what your business is and what your expression is of your business is to that demographic. Now, when you have possibly multiple demographics, then you want to be a little bit more general, maybe in look and the way you speak. In general, though, you talk to your potential people at a 7th grade level, regardless of who they are. That's everybody. That's the standard, is to write to a 7th grade level. And obviously nowadays, people like things shorter. So it's always a good thing to keep your messages really clear and concise.
That's great.
That would
Thanks,
be-
Pia. And there's so much in there that we can unpack for sure. But knowing who your customer is sounds very obvious. But the reality is most people are not that we experience working with, I should say, are not actually in tune with their clients in a way that actually helps them to understand that you understand them. Right. I think that's another part too of this, is that when you are writing to them, they need to feel that you deeply understand them. That oftentimes knowing things that are intimate about them. I mean, not about their personal lives. I mean about the situation that they're in. In Pia's example, if your audience is 60 to 80-year-olds, what is it that they're actually dealing with that what you're doing is addressing? And the more that you can know them, not just demographically, although that is important, but also in their experience, the more you can create empathy, or the understanding that you have, the impression that you understand them deeply, right? And that can go a long way. Robert or Jim, do you have anything to add to that?
I will only say what Pia said is absolutely essential. When I talk with people, oftentimes on these connects they do, you'll after the chit chat, you'll say, well, who's your ideal customer? And usually the answer I get back a lot of times, well, it's everybody. And 99.9% of the time that's wrong. And so really you need to define who your customer is. We keep saying that over and over and over again, but it's absolutely true. And I've been looking through the list of people who have signed up for this, and there's a big diversity here of people and their companies. So your audience, business to business here, from the people that are on the call, are going to be drastically different. And it's highly unlikely that something general is really going to do a good job for you, because usually selling something to everybody ends up selling nothing to anybody. And so you absolutely need to find who your client is, and then figure out what's the best way to message them, be it a social media, be it someplace they go or gather, something like that, to figure out where they are, that you can position yourself to be among them. So that's a critical aspect to putting a lead profile together.
Yeah, it really comes down to strategy at the end of the day. Not everybody is going to fall into some cookie cutter way of doing marketing. You might see a lot of times that people have certain programs that you might follow in terms of lead generation or marketing. And oftentimes we spend a lot of time and money following some quote unquote proven system, let's just say. But sometimes the reality is you are unique. Your customers are very specific, and you doing the work to actually figure out where they are and how you're going to message them is really important. If you outsource that to like I said, a generic program or cookie cutter thing, or you fail to think about that and just sort of use generic messaging, it's going to really reduce your chances of getting their attention. But on the contrary, the more closer you are to them, the more that you're going to have a chance to attract them. Robert, did you want to add anything to any of that in any way?
Yeah, I'll actually give an example. I work in environmental conservation organizations and related businesses. And even within a niche, you might have various different languages depending on the person's role. So, for example, somebody in charge of stewardship for a nature preserve would be concerned about how climate change is going to affect the organisms that are within their preserve. Whereas somebody that's in charge of donations or gifts would be more concerned about how to convey what a conservation easement is or something else. And if you have a native plant nursery, you want to make sure that your plants are the things that you want to have in your plant hardiness zone. So you want to make sure that you're talking about those things because that's what they deal with all the time, and how to explain that to the public and help their business or organization.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. It's so critical. I mean, we could have the entire conversation to be about techniques on messaging and connecting, and like I said before, we all offer individual one-on-one consultation. So if you do feel like you want to have a conversation more specifically about us, we are available for that. But let's sort of go down the next step. So, and the reason that we talk about websites a lot is because typically whatever you're doing with your marketing, literally almost anything you're doing, you're going to be driving people towards one central location, which is typically your website, right? So if you think about advertising or social media posting or QR codes on a flyer, whatever form of marketing, most likely they're driving towards the website, right? So that website is that first point of contact that's meaningful that most people are going to interact with. And so that's why we talk about website a lot. But it is really critical because what happens is someone lands from an ad or from something that they see onto your website, right? And when they get there, they're expecting that you're going to continue the conversation or continue the information that they got and ultimately guide them. They may not know this consciously, but what they're expecting is that you're going to guide them towards some kind of a solution. So when it comes to creating what we call a landing page, doesn't have to be, it can be your home page of your website, but the destination, I'd like to discuss what are some of the most key and important things that need to happen when people get there so that we take one step closer towards getting them to get to do what we want them to do, depending on our goals. I'm going to start back with Pia because she's the resident web design expert. I'm going to ask you that, Pia. Once someone lands on the site, what are some of the most important elements that you need to have in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. And first, before I start, I want to clarify landing page, right? So a lot of people talk about landing pages. If you do like funnel marketing or you do that sales type of marketing where you have like a one pager or just, like a short, maybe pop-up type of thing, and I consider that a landing page. But your website usually your home page is also a landing page as well. Although they have somewhat different uses, there are some similar elements on them. So I'm going to talk more about your home page, which would be usually the initial page that someone would go to when they go to your website, compared to if it's a landing page that's at the end of a funnel or sales process. So on your home page, you always want to first capture them. What is the most important thing that that you're going to solve for them? What is either the problem you're solving? What emotional need are you fulfilling? What is that one statement that you're going to put right up there up front, just to attract them, just that when they go to your website, they even say, oh, I want to stay here for even 2 seconds, right? And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to give them instructions, right? Now, some people may want to go through, they just start going through the menus, but really if you drive it, you want to drive them to what do you actually want them to do? So the next thing after that entry tagline or just that kind of welcome graphic and words, you want to tell them what you want to do. Do you want them to, do you want to build a mail list? You're going to want them to join like a newsletter, so subscribe to that. Do you want them to join to go to an event? Do you want to sell them something? So whatever is your primary thing, You want to bring them through that process to get them to the point where that's what they're going to do. Now, it could be that you don't sell anything, maybe you don't have a money-making type of website. Maybe it's just a blog website and you want them to read, right? You want as many people as you can come to your site so they can read your blogs. Obviously, you're going to direct them to your blogs, and that's something that would be on the home page. Other companies may not have their blog on their homepage because maybe that's not a primary thing. And you don't want to get them interested maybe in reading your blog if you actually want them to buy a widget from you, right? You want to bring them through, I want to send you to my store because you want to buy this product because it's going to do X for you. So go here. Now, there could be multiple places that you say, well, I sell this, but then I do some, coaching on the side, that type of thing. You could give them options, right? If you're interested in coaching, if you want to buy a product, if you want to do something, so you can give them different options, but you want to do that pretty close to what I usually do. If it's not the first screen that they see takes up that tag and an image, right? Sometimes I might make it a little shorter depending on what it is, just so they know and they can kind of see the top of what the next section is going to be. You want to make sure you get them to scroll down to see what's next. How are you going to do that? So if it's maybe sometimes I might even just put in so they see that there's 3 choices that are coming up. Or you could put even a banner that says, choose what you're interested in, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So on your landing page, you want to make sure you attract them. You want to keep them attracted to the home page. You want to keep them on there as long as you can, right? If they leave in 5 seconds, obviously they're probably not going to buy anything. And you can actually, there's a thing called heat maps, where it's a software that you can hook up to your website, and it'll tell you where people are going on your web pages, which is really interesting because sometimes you would think, oh, people just go down this way, like in a sequence, and it's really funny to watch. Sometimes they're all over the place, and it'll even track clicking, so it kind of tells you where they're clicking, and you may see them click on certain, there may be a whole bunch of people clicking on a certain button. So you know that button is being really successful because people are actually clicking on it. But you may see them you could see their cursor kind of just like going in circles, and it'll show you on the heat map how this goes. And then you're like, oh, they don't know where to go. So that kind of tells you I need to do something. After those 2 things, after getting the first part and then kind of the first action you want to get them to do, it's kind of a process. So if they don't choose that action, why didn't they choose that action? So what are you going to give them to stay on your website? Are you going to now give them an opportunity to see other information, maybe display some of your services in more detail? Maybe there's something else where you want to invite them to go to a workshop. What are those things that those opportunities, right? You want to look at it as opportunities to your prospects. If they decide to skip over that first action, what are the things that you're going to give them? And ultimately, by the end of the page, you want them to take some kind of action, right? So a step closer to getting a sale or signing up for something, whatever that action is. So I would say, overall, those are the main things that you want to do quickly on your homepage, landing page.
Great stuff. Thank you, Pia. Yeah, once again, there's so much to unpack even in there, even though we're going to just touch lightly. But Jim, you do a form of digital advertising, targeted advertising. And so obviously when you're driving people to a landing page, as Pia mentioned, there's a difference between success of that advertising campaign and failure of that advertising campaign. I imagine it has to do with things that happen after you're sending people to that page. Can you give us any examples or insights based on some clients maybe you've worked with that worked or didn't work when you're sending people through to a landing page and it's effective versus ineffective?
Sure. I find that I'm a big fan of landing pages. I'm also a big fan of well done websites, but it's hard to change websites very quickly. Landing pages can be done very quickly to match uh, campaigns, and so my thought on landing pages is very simple, very to the point. If you want someone to do something, then your landing page should be very clear about what you want them to do. Uh, to sort of, I've been to sort of digress a minute. I've been looking at the people who are on the call tonight, and looking at your profiles, and we have we have big variety of businesses here. Connie is listed as a speaker. Michelle is in the funeral business. Nicole's an event planner. Um, Yoquin, if I got that pronounced correctly, is in the transport business. Gina's in the music business. I haven't seen Greg. Um, Greg makes commercial contract garments, I think, or something from what it says here. So we've got a whole big diversity. And so, really the success of a campaign is, first you got to figure out, as we keep saying over and over again, who is your customer, and then what's the most efficient way to contact them. And then, have a call to action. I want you to do this. You want to take the next step. And some of that may be a little different. It may be a direct sale. Some of it may not be. But to give you a quick example of what we do and how we do it, my specialty is digital geofencing, and it's very highly targeted. And here's an example of a campaign right now that we're having lots of fun with. Everyone in the world's heard about Taylor Swift. You'd have to be living under a rock not to know about Taylor Swift these days. So we have clients in the ladies' fashion and makeup and beauty space that want to reach the people attending her concerts. And so what we do is we geofence her concert locations. And so then when the Swifties go in there with their GPS enabled phones, our clients are sending them ads to buy their fashion or buy their makeup or buy their whatever. And every one of it is going to a landing page that's is extremely well thought out. The people on the landing page are very stylized. They look like they would be at a Taylor Swift concert. So they're very fine tuned in what they're trying to do. So you've got to match your audience, and if you have different audiences like we do here tonight, if you're working with a professional, make sure the person you're working with, spend time talking with them about your business first before you get around to figuring out, okay, what's the digital answer to your problem. Make sure they understand exactly your business and who your ideal client is, and make sure they're invested in that client with you. That's in my view essential. So that's all I've got rambling to say, Josh. I'll shut up.
That's fine. That's great. I think, it's so critical. We can reinforce it a million times. I mean, if you really want to have any kind of success doing digital, selling or directing people to take an action of any kind, it, your whole your whole strategy needs to be based around them. It's so oftentimes we think it's about us. We're so obsessed with our business and how good we are and how great we are and how many awards we've won and all these things, as if the customer really cares. I mean, they may care secondarily, but the reality is they care about themselves and their problem, and they should, because they're consumers. So leading with that you care and understand them is always going to win out versus leading with anything to do with you, right? So that we could emphasize that in 1,000 ways, and that would be a huge takeaway. We could talk about strategies to do that and how we do it and how you can change your messaging to more, more focus. But the reality is it is that important. But let's hit it from a little bit of a different angle. I want to bring Robert in because Robert is really focused on helping people with blogs, right? But blog posts or articles that you publish are a form of advertising in and of themselves, especially, right? They are used for sending people back from social media or other places that they're published to a website to ideally read the blog, or organically in search traffic for SEO. A blog post may be found before a homepage landing page might be found in a search. And
Yes,
so a blog page really is a landing page, right? And it can
right.
be also turned into a way to convert people who read an article into customers. So, Robert, when it comes to blog posts, treating it like a landing page, what are some of your tips that you have to get it to get people drawn in to learn more about the products or service that might be associated with the blog?
Well, what I do is, I have my Silphium design business, but I also have a blog that I write quite a bit, in fact, I work on it most of the time, about butterfly gardens and native plants. And what Pia was talking about with having an excellent front web page. Well, if you don't have a blog, most people are going to enter your web page from the front page. But in my case, my front page or my main page of my website for the blog is one page out of about 250. So most of my readers or users are going to enter in on a blog post, and they'll find it through Google search or a link from some other site or whatever. So each blog post you have is its own, as Jim was saying, it's kind of its own, and Josh was saying, its own landing page. So once they get to your blog post, something I have is I have an affiliate marketing store on it. So within the blog post, I'll have links for, they can go buy seeds if they like a plant that they read about. I have a link for books they can find out more about the subject they're going to, and I have links to other posts, or they can go straight into the store and then they can find a whole nother line of products there. So not all users will link it. Well, even I would doubt it. A lot of my users even see my front page. They probably enter on a blog post and then kind of maneuver around to different blog posts they're interested in. Then maybe go to the store or whatever. So each blog post that you put out is another opportunity to attract another group of readers that might be interested in what you're writing about. And the more blog posts you have, the bigger your net is to catch more interested readers and consumers and users. So that's helpful for your blog. And also your blog helps convey your knowledge of your subject as well.
Great,
And
Robert. Yeah, thanks.
once your
Go
blog
ahead.
gets to a certain age and you get enough posts, then it becomes a lot easier to rank very highly on Google.
Thanks so much. Yeah, that's great. Like you said, Robert, leveraging the blog post so that the offerings that you're offering are related to the content of the blog post. It sounded like you have a store with multitudes of offerings, but each blog post has offerings that are related to that subject matter. And that's great because
Right.
what you're doing is you're not giving somebody a menu of choices that may confuse them, especially if they're just finding you for the first time. You're giving them the next best step to take that's related to the reason why they got there. And that's what we're talking about here, is that we have to look at ourselves like the guides. We are guiding our customers where to go and what to do. If you, and you might have experienced this in your own life as just a consumer browsing, if you go to a website and it's got so many options and so many choices and so much content that you really get immediately like, I don't have a clue what to do or where to go or even what this is. That's a big red flag and you're going to be out of there, right? And so we have to think about it like, someone is coming in and where is the next logical step by step by step can we get them to go towards the direction of what we want? Maybe we want them to fill out a contact form. Maybe we want them to schedule something. Maybe we want them to call you, read a blog post, download something, register, right? There's all these calls to action. But if we don't guide them towards probably one predominant you're leaving it up to the client to figure out. And most of us have no attention spans. If we don't see it right away, we're out of there. And if we certainly see something that's confusing or broken or discombobulated, we're gonna bounce. So it's so crucial that your messaging and your calls to action are really, really clear and integrated together. This has been great. Let me do a quick time check. We got about 10 minutes, and then we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. So if anybody here wants to us to reiterate or talk more about something we touched on, that'll be a time to do it. The design of this is really for us to be free flowing, and we know the conversation can bounce around. That's kind of the point, is to just drop little nuggets and have you take some notes and give you a sense of who you are. Because like Robert said, trust. That's another factor that I want to get into right now. Building trust, right? We do it as webheads by being live here with you. This is our best attempt at trust. We're transparent. We are who we say we are. We offer you calls to have a conversation. And in the realm of marketing, this is how we do it to build trust, especially in a world where people in our industry, let's just face it, are not always acting in the most trustworthy ways. So for you and your business, you need to establish trust and credibility. And like Robert said, a blog is definitely a way to establish credibility, but trust is a major factor. So Pia, how does everything we're talking about relate to building trust? And what is the importance of all that trust building?
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously trust is everything. They're not going to stay on your website if you don't gain their trust pretty quickly. So, there is several different ways they're trusting you. One, do you make them feel like you understand them, understand their problem? Also, trust could be shown as, how are you proving you know what you're talking about, right? What are you giving them to show, hey, this is what I'm saying I do, and this is why I think I could provide this to you, right? And be great at it, kind of thing, right? So there's different ways of doing that. You can do it with, obviously, words, blogs, samples, quotes from past customers, where they say, yeah, this business is great, love working with them. They always, take my concerns and or they always provide with great service, or they're always listening to what my concerns are. So it's, those things are really important to have. Also, it's professionalism is a big thing. So sometimes people look for information. Sometimes they look for, hey, do they even know what my pain point is? The other is, do they look like a valid business? Do they have, can I contact them? Is it easy to contact them? Are they on anywhere else on the internet? Do they have a Google My Business profile? Are they in any other kind of directories? Are they just, or is this it? This is the only place you've ever seen them, never heard of them. You don't see anything else about them. Sometimes, Google reviews is always a great thing to have if that's the kind of business that you have. That really does help a lot. When they search for you, are you coming up to, on the first page? So have you done enough work on your website to actually show up in searches? Sometimes that right there, people might trust to say, oh, well, look at, this is who showed up first. They must be pretty good. So there's different things that you can go after, and some of those, again, is, Josh is saying, we can take one of those topics and go into them kind of deep, right? As far as, are we hitting a pain point? And do I have the right information? Making sure your website actually has all the main information on there. Are you telling them about yourself or your business? If it's not about you, if it's just about a particular business, are you telling them what kind of services you're providing and how you're providing those services? Are things clear? When people go to a website, do they feel comfortable with the information that's on there? Are you answering the questions they have? So essentially, it's put yourself in their shoes. And when you go to a website, what are your expectations of that website? If you're not providing even to fulfill your own expectations, are you providing enough information to fulfill your prospects' expectations? So I would say start with those different areas as far as gaining and building trust.
Thanks, Pia. Jim, do you have anything to add or any other angles around trustworthiness when it comes to converting customers?
Well, I think human nature being what it is, when we learn about a new business or product, the first thing we're going to do is search it. We all do it. And, where you come up in the search, if it's a service or something, that is going to show something. Obviously people do not have a large attention span, and they're going to look at the top 4 or 5 results in search and then probably phase out after that. But your website, I do it all the time. I probably review 20 to 30 websites a week, and I've gotten to the point that I can just pull up the first page and I just get and just go on. And so that is essential. There's no substitute for a well done and optimized website. It just is absolutely essential for any kind of marketing, whether it's direct mail or radio or TV or whatever. Everybody's going to end up back at your website. That all roads lead to your website. So it is essential that is a well done, well thought out, and speaks to the customer, not to you. What does your ideal customer want, rather than just talking about how great you are? They don't care about that. They've got a problem, or they want to learn something, or whatever. There's some motivation that has them coming to your website. Address that in big, bold, whatever. Hit it right in the face right from the start. That in my experience is something that holds people on your site, and the longer they're on your site, the better the odds are for you.
That's great, Jim. And just by virtue of the fact that you have a modern, good-looking, well put together, clean, professional-looking website, sometimes that in and of itself is going to get you the business over a potential competitor if that's the business you're in, because people make these sort of, I don't want to call it superficial, although it sort of is, because they don't have any depth to understand who you are. So they make these sort of superficial, like you were saying, Jim, like you can just scroll through, almost like swipe right. This is a good one, this one's garbage. This is good, this one needs work. It's that superficial, but you can tell right away, right? And so when you connect right away, that's going to help you get that 2 seconds that Pia was talking about, versus within 1 second, you're just like, I'm out of here. And it's so critical. I would encourage everyone here who's still with us, if you do have a website, to really consider that if it's subpar in any way, if you're working on it yourself, you're trying to figure it out, it's not working, get some professional help and make that investment, because there may not be another investment that you make that's more important, because any other investment you make in marketing, if they're sending them to a subpar webpage, it could cancel out everything you're already doing. So that's why we're all so strongly advocates for doing successful looking websites. Yeah, Robert, final point, and then we'll open it up to the audience. What do you want to say?
Yeah, you're talking about trust. I guess I'll address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Last week, I gave a webinar on classical blogger meets AI, or artificial intelligence. And if you're writing blog posts, it's really easy to use the AI, but make sure if you're using AI to use it in a subject that you're familiar with, because whatever appears on your website or in your blog, that's on you, and you want to make sure that information is spot on. So use it as a suggestion and don't use it verbatim, or otherwise, you'll end up with a ho-hum blog or site or something else where it will look stilted, like a agglomeration of a whole bunch of whatever.
That's great. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation too, is AI. But if anybody does have questions about AI, we're happy to take them. It's about 15 minutes to the end of our scheduled time together. So this is time when we usually open it up. Obviously, you're not obligated to say anything, but if you feel like there's something you heard tonight and you want us to reiterate or go a little deeper with it, we're happy to do that. If you have any general questions, even if we didn't mention it tonight, we'll address those. And otherwise, what we'll do is, I think Pia might have already put a link. Yes, and you can do it again, Pia. We have a link to our website where you can schedule a consultation with any one of us here if you'd like to. And again, if you want to continue to check out the webheads and what we're doing in different formats, we have another event coming up on February 1st. But before we get into that, let's take any questions. Checking the chat, I see we do have a few hands up, and we also have someone from the chat. So if you'd like to speak, put your hand up, that'd be great. Yes, and I'll take them in the order that we get them. You can use your little virtual hand. Connie, do you want to come off mute and say hello?
Hi. Okay,
Hi.
so I have a question. This is about the website. And if you want to get more eyeballs on your website with SEO, should you insert those keywords into the text of your website, or can you just make a list of the keywords? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. It needs to be naturally inserted into the text of your website. Just having a list of randomly of keywords is probably not going to be the best for search engines, and definitely going to look a bit awkward to a person reading it. Now, if you were, yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't know if, do they see that? Like on my WordPress website, it asks you to list keywords.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't see them. Go ahead, Robert. You can answer that one.
Oh, well, I was going to say, when you have keywords, you want to make sure they appear in prominent places, such as
Okay.
your headings, in your paragraphs, sometimes
Thank
in
you.
your images,
Thank
because
you.
that's
That
what
was my
Google
question.
is looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's something we don't want to just put keywords stuffed into the metadata or anything like that. I mean, also think about this. If your website shows up on an organic search, right? And what do they see? They see the title and they see the description. If that's a bunch of keywords, it's meaningless. And in today's modern age, it actually looks kind of spammy, right? But if you had a really well thought out sentence that actually speaks to the customer that happens to contain a quality keyword in it, in your description and your title, now you're achieving two things. You're getting hopefully ranked for that keyword because they found you, and you're also showing that you have a little tagline that's speaking to them, and that is a human being writing, not just a bunch of keywords. So it's good for many reasons to put it not just
Thank
stuffing.
you. Thank you.
Great. Pia, do you want to add anything to that? I don't want to just.
No, I mean, the only thing I would add is that, knowing what the right keywords is then takes a little research to go out and use the appropriate tools to find the right keywords. You may think you know the right keywords if you just say, oh, well, this is my business, so these must be the right keywords. But now it's not just about a word, it could be even phrases that people are searching for that you want to make sure that you include on your website. Because remember, you're competing with all the other businesses in your area and nationally that are using the same type of keywords or have the same type of business. So that's the only thing I would add.
That's critical. Absolutely critical. Yeah, there are tools. If you want to put any links to any, like, the keyword lookup tool or something, that would be helpful maybe for people to take a look at.
I looked up SEMrush.
SEMrush is a good one too. Yeah. SEMrush will give you some good data. And that's smart, Connie, because there is a difference between just going with the first top level keyword versus finding some niche keywords that you can actually make a dent in. Sometimes people think I have a lot of therapists, they might say therapy. Well, that's the broadest keyword you could imagine in that category. But if you can get it down to the specific types of therapies and also look up what people are searching when it comes to those therapies, that's the kind of keywords you want to be putting on your site, not just I'm not saying you're doing that kind. It sounds like you're going the right direction.
And kind of in line with what Josh was saying, if you have some kind of geography associated with your subject, for example, in my blog, I wrote a blog post about swallowtail butterflies in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Well, you would think if the blog's about swallowtail butterflies, that would be my key word. Well, no, that's not what I was aiming for. I was saying my key word was Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, because if I use swallowtails butterflies, then my key word is basically every swallowtail butterfly around the world. And there's no way I would rank for that. But Harrisburg is a lot more concise. It's a lot smaller, local, and you can rank higher if somebody's looking for what swallowtail butterflies are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So that's actually your key word.
Thanks, Robert.
And you'll rank
Let's go
higher.
Great. Let's go to Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Thank you for doing this today. This has been really important for me as I'm going into my 5th year of my business and trying to grow it so that it's doing the right thing. So I wanted to talk or find out more about, and if I need to do one-on-ones, I'd be happy to do that. But I'm very interested in affiliate marketing and how that works on a blog. And I also want to know how, if I have a page within my website specifically for affiliate marketing, what's the difference, and how, if I want them to come to my affiliate marketing page on my website, is that with SEO? Would that be the way that people come directly to that page for the blogging? And here's the next step. I do a lot in 6 different categories of dying and death and celebration of life, and I am grounded in like 6 different tracks for people to move forward in taking care of their lives. And so what I wanted to find out about is with regards to blogging, I thought that if I did do some blogging, maybe there's some forgive me. I'm trying to, is the blogging part of my website, or is that a completely different landing page? I guess
Great
that's
question.
Part of your website.
Great question. Robert, go ahead. Yeah, and I would encourage you to book a call with Robert if no one else here, definitely.
In
But go
fact,
ahead,
I do
Robert.
affiliate marketing with my blog. And the blog is part of your website. You'll have, if on your front page, oftentimes in the nav menu, you'll have blog, and that's where people can go to your blog archive and see what articles you have. But also people enter sometimes your site from the blog post itself through Google search or Bing search or however they find your
Would it be
page.
from a post that you put out on like LinkedIn or Facebook or?
You can do that, sure. Yeah, and then they'll go right to your blog site.
So
And you
then
can also use
I'll
I'm
book
sorry.
a session with you, Robert, so that I know I took a lot of time just now.
No,
So
it's okay.
Oh, no
It's really,
problem.
that's what we're here for. There's
I
no
was going to
rush.
say with your affiliates, you can have the links either on your blog post, and I have that, or you can have products in a WooCommerce store. And you want to use WooCommerce for this because WooCommerce has an affiliate selection that you can select in their store for
Is that also
affiliated products or external products, as they call it.
I'm sorry, Robert. I'm so excited. So would so I have a Wix website. I love Wix. And it has like all the things that I can do on the left-hand side and pull it on in and drag it in. And one of them is about e-commerce page. And that's what I really want to be able to do, is invite the people that I've been working with and an opportunity to share their information on a page. And also if they've got something they want to sell, I'd be happy to be that page to be able to help them sell their work. I'm also doing course programs throughout the year and for continuing education credits, as well as writing a book. So,
Give me a call. And another thing about affiliates is to make sure that you have an affiliate disclosure
that's what I want to
on
talk
each of the
about.
posts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you deal with any of the big ones like eBay or Amazon or whatever, you got to have that. If you don't have it, they'll get you.
Okay, well, I will talk with you again. Thank you so much, Robert.
Yeah, thanks for all your questions, Michelle. And I'll just say one quick thing. You've got a lot going on. So for you specifically, it's really important to streamline that site so that it is not occur as like a giant menu, right? And there are strategies
Yes.
that you can definitely take advantage of us here to help you with because
Give me a call because I definitely do all that.
yeah, because I've run into a lot of people who do a lot. They wear many hats, so to speak, and it's all under one umbrella and it's all a service. But sometimes it can get cluttered and things like that. So working with Robert, I think that will be a side benefit is to help organize some of the things you do. So it's really streamlined.
I appreciate
Yeah.
you all. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
being here tonight. We appreciate you. Let's go to our looks like final question. Forgive me, is it Joaquin? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Welcome.
It's Joaquin, no worries.
Joaquin,
It
got it,
gets
like Joaquin
butchered all
Phoenix.
the time, so don't worry about it. Also, like Michelle said, thank you guys for hosting this. It's been really nice to hear everything that you guys are sharing, really insightful. One thing that it's making me realize is that our business definitely needs to get their website revamped 100%. Joshua, I know you were saying sometimes you can take a look at a website and within the first 5 seconds you can tell if it's a great website and it's modernized or if it's something a little bit old. And I know that we need a new one. So my question to you guys is, between you four, is Pia, I guess, more in tune with addressing websites, or like I would like to talk to one of you guys and set up a time to kind of see if you can help me organize a website more or less. Or if it's just a service that none of you offer, somewhere that you would recommend or someone that you may know that is able to assist with it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can help you out with that. I'm a website developer designer, so I can look at what you have and then let you know what I think you need to go to, if anything, and changes and what are you on? Where's your
No,
website?
we need a 180-degree revamp. I'll flip my camera real quick just to see if we can. So we've got a bunch of things going
Are
on.
you
So
on
here's
are you on
our
WordPress?
old website from, I'm sorry?
Are you on WordPress?
Work rest? No, I work remotely. I work from home, and
WordPress.
then I have a
No, WordPress.
WordPress. I'm honestly not too sure. Honestly, we haven't looked at revamping a website. I'm not too sure how they had the website done. It's nothing that was essentially my responsibility, but I saw this as an opportunity to kind of jump in and pitch a new idea, just because I know that, being a new year, this is something that needs to be changed when everyone talks about the website being the first page, the first thing that people look at now. It's something that needs to, be modernized, like I said.
Right, right. Yeah. So my information is in the chat if you and click on that link. And you can contact me and set up an appointment. That would be great. We could
Perfect.
talk and we'll see what I can do for you.
Perfect. Most definitely. Thank you, Pia. Thank you for the other hosts as well. I appreciate everyone's insight. Jim, that's a really cool project that you're working on with the geofencing as well. Might have some questions for you. I don't know if we can really do it in a port or terminal per se. But yeah, might have some questions for you as well. But definitely thank you guys. I have a meeting at 4:30, so I got to run to another line, but I appreciate all your guys' time.
Bye-bye, thanks.
No
All
problem.
right.
No problem. And I can help you
Thank
too,
you guys.
as well. Yeah, and I'll just end with this. We're a collaborative community, right? So we want you to book a call with all of us.
Okay.
Get feedback from all of us, get insights, and if any one of us is the best fit to actually work with, we high five each other. We want to connect with the
Perfect.
best people with the best clients. That's the way we are. And that goes for everybody here. So don't feel like, if I'm going to book a call with P, I can't book with Robert. No, we're collaborative, and that's what makes us unique a bit too. So just want to mention that because I think people need to see a couple options and get some feedback to know who's really their best fit. We really advocate that. So perfect timing, smooth landing. It is exactly the hour. Thank you guys who are still with us for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. Great
Thank you.
feedback. We think what we're doing is pretty awesome, but it always helps to know that you guys are think the same too. Please come on February 1st if you would like to continue to be a part of our community. Otherwise, between now and then, please go to each one of our landing pages to book with us for our respective methods. And P, if you could just maybe one more time post that link to our our
to,
directory. That way people
the
can just click
directory?
it right from here. Yeah, because if you click this directory, you're going to see that you can book a call with any of us. And Jim, I apologize, Jim is not in that directory.
Yeah.
Jim put his email there. So capture Jim if you want to speak with Jim. You can see his Jim at getgeofencing.com is in the thing. And Jim, we got to get you in that directory.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Other than
My
that,
fault.
it's all good. Other than that, have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. And we look forward to speaking with you one-on-one. Thanks.
Thank you for everything.
Bye,
Thank you for
everybody.
today.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.